morning, everyone. Hello and welcome to the webcast. I'm Paul Rajkumar, Business Development Manager at VersaSec, and your host and your speaker for today's webinar. Today, our topic for discussion is all around passwordless authentication, more specifically, why hardware-based is one of the best authentication methods. To walk us through the session, I've been joined by our guest, Chloe Wigner, who is the Global Business Developer at Octaco. Before we kick off the discussion, first, a few housekeeping rules. All attendees are muted throughout the session. Should you wish to ask questions, which we will handle at the end, please submit through the question area on your panel. This discussion is automatically recorded and we will be sharing it with you guys after the webinar. So do feel free to share with your colleagues and your friends. Chloe, to you.
Yes, thank you, Paul. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. So I'm Chloe from Octaco, and Octaco is a South Korean cybersecurity provider of passwordless authentication solution. So as you may know, nowadays passwords are the root cause of 80% of data breaches. And now with the rise of AI, it's doomed. The password problem will only grow bigger. So that's why at Octaco, we specialize in advanced FIDO biometric authentication to help individuals, but also enterprise and government entities to start their passwordless journey. So at Octaco, we provide fingerprint FIDO security keys, but also passwordless multi-factor authentication and single sign-on software to fully eliminate the password from the whole authentication process. So basically, our goal is to offer our client a turnkey solution that ensures robust security for all their digital assets without sacrificing the user experience. Move on to the next slide, please. So basically, our passwordless authentication solution is now sought after by many in South Korea due to current cybersecurity regulation, but also our acknowledgement as a FIDO2 security key vendor by Microsoft and as FIDO2 solution top provider by Gartner. So far, we have worked with many organizations in South Korea that required a high level of security for the sensitive data. So like government agencies, defense, military, but also finance institutions like banks and insurance. So most of the time they turn to us because we can deploy their passwordless authentication project with our combined hardware and software from the first security assessment to the installation. Can you go back to the previous slide, Paul? Yeah. Sorry. So basically for our client, we take care of the integration and secure their access to the network, their web services, devices, but also enterprise systems or cloud platforms with phishing-resistant biometric security keys. So that's what we do at Octaco, and now I will let Paul introduce VersaSec in more details.
Thank you, Chloe. We at VersaSec, we are a Swedish-based company with a strong focus in the identity and the access management world. We help organizations of all sizes, small, medium, and large, to better manage their digital identities, whether it's PKI, FIDO, or both these technologies. So whether when an organization chooses to implement multi-factor authentication, whether they would like to go with PKI-based or PKI along with FIDO, FIDO alone, virtual smart cards, Windows Hello for Business, and other hobby, and we can definitely help you with those requirements. We at VersaSec, we empower organizations to easily adopt multi-factors for modern authentication. With more than 500 customers where we have served them, and we're continuing to serve them across the globe, we sell our products to enterprises and government entities throughout the global connected distributors and resellers. As you can see on the slide, we support a lot of customer verticals, government, technology, BFSI sector, utilities, and also other services. And whether as an organization you are looking to manage 50 tokens, here the same of the meaning of Octaco tokens, or even to the tune of 500,000 tokens, we can automate all the manual tasks involved in the lifecycle management of these credentials. Cybercrime is becoming an increasing threat with 4,000 identity attacks per second, over 30 billion attempted passwords per month, and a lot of domains being compromised. USD 10.5 trillion is the cost of cybercrime, which is projected to hit annual by 2025. A lot of our organizations, including yours, are looking at NIST for guidances and standard practices. And NIST is also encouraging organizations to assess their cybersecurity risks and develop strategies to mitigate them effectively. So with MFA, which typically involves requiring users to provide 2 or more forms of authentication before granting access, such as something the user knows, like a password, something the user has, like an Octaco token, and something the user is, like a biometric trait. So MFA is considered one of the best practice here. A recent study based on real-world attack data for Microsoft Entra found that MFA reduces the risk of compromise by 99%. So with MFA, you can significantly enhance the authentication practices, reducing the risk of unauthorized access. So for your organization, when you implement MFA, you can achieve compliance standards, prevent phishing or any brute force attacks, ease of secure authentication for your existing end users, and also if you have a remote workforce, and most importantly, going passwordless and keeping your data, protected data with sensitive information. So not all MFA is the same. We see a lot of organization going for the quick setup of SMS or voice-based MFA, but really SMS-based MFA is the weakest form with SMS interception, SIM swapping, and no protection against malware. Though app-based MFA meets the requirements and are considered robust, but there are limitations because there are dependency on mobiles, downtime, particularly when you have to do installation setup in an air-gap environment, and there's a potential for phishing, which pushes organizations to search for a much stronger MFA solution, which is phishing resistance. So here, Octaco tokens can offer one of the strongest MFA options for you. Chloe, can you add some more to this?
Yeah, right, Paul. So many enterprises actually will start by deploying some sort of mobile-based authentication. So like you just mentioned, push notification or OTPs received by message or from a dedicated authenticator app. But often these enterprises soon realize that none of them are strong enough against cyber threats like phishing, man in the middle, brute force, and social engineering. So just like Paul mentioned before, those traditional authentication methods are easily compromised because they are based on something you know, so like a code, a password, which is something that's knowledge-based, or it's based on something that you have, so like a smartphone. But all those methods, basically, they can easily be guessed, shared, stolen, or hacked. While a FIDO token is considered the strongest authentication methods because it relies on 2 things. So something you have and something you are, which means that first it's going to check, of course, the user presence. So do you have the correct hardware token? Do you have the correct security key with you? But also it's going to provide a second layer, which is the user verification, as the user's unique biometrics are necessary for the authentication to successfully be done. Plus, in this case also, FIDO PKI, so public key infrastructure, ensures that no raw credentials or biometrics data are ever transmitted over the network. But I will explain this further in the next slide. So now, as seen in this simplified FIDO chart, unique cryptographic signatures are generated to secure the authentication process. So to put it very simply, when you first register, your fingerprint on an Octaco FIDO fingerprint security key is going to create a set of 2 keys. There's going to be a private key locally held by the user within the security key next to the encrypted biometrics. And there's going to be a public key, which is held externally on a FIDO server. And in this case, only corresponding private and public keys will ever authorize an authentication request. So for example, let's say like you want to authenticate to one service, it could be like Google or Salesforce, then the security key receives a challenge request. So using your registered fingerprint, you'll extract and enable the local private key, the one held in your security keys, and this will sign the challenge. And then it will be sent back to the external public key. And if the keys match, the unique signed challenge is confirmed, and this is when the authentication is authorized. So basically, during these times, all the communications are encrypted. They are unique and they do not carry any raw credentials or any biometric data, because nothing of such ever leave the device, basically. So it makes it impossible for any hackers to intercept those authentication data and reuse them. So your authentication and your biometrics are safe. So that's why, as seen in the next slide, at Octaco, we decided to engineer all our security keys, so what we call the easy finger line, based on FIDO and biometric principles to enable passwordless login to any platform. So Just basically, you can imagine accessing your PC or your most used enterprise systems with only this little device plugged into your computer. So with a single touch, the security key will accurately authenticate the user, knowing that it's an authorized user that has the unique registered biometric. So in this case, as I explained previously, the FIDO cryptography enables the authentication communication to be unreplicable, while the biometric are always encrypted and processed only locally. So they never leave as a raw template the security key's secure element. So we can say that the goal of a security key is to provide organization with complex identity verification, so with the biometrics, but also robust security through the FIDO protocols, while keeping it user-friendly for the whole workforce. So now I will just quickly go over the specificities of our own Octaco fingerprint security keys in the next slide. So we know that in today's market, there are many security keys available, many fingerprint security key, many FIDO security keys, so which sometimes make it quite challenging for enterprise to find the perfect fit for them. So at Octaco, we strongly focus on enterprise use case. So that's why we made we have some key features, especially made to cater to this enterprise use case. So of course, our fingerprint recognition sensors and algorithm enable rapid and accurate biometric only authentication. But what I would say truly sets us apart is the introduction of this world's first quantum FIDO fingerprint security key. So in this case, it uses a specific quantum chip that generates powerful, unpredictable quantum randomness during the key encryption. So this kind of security key is especially useful for very high security level requirement, like in the defense and public sector. But also for us, versatility was really important. So we have, of course, various connectivity types with USB-C, USB-A, card, but also NFC. We also have a software development kit for specific integration. And of course, as I said, we are compatible with global standards like FIDO WebAuthn API, but we also are compatible with Windows Hello and Windows Hello for Business. So this means that basically, if you have our security keys, you can use it with any applications, with any services on your PCs, but also tablets and also smartphones. And finally, I think the last point that I wanted to mention is that while it's often ignored, we also prioritize a durable, but also sophisticated design with a kind of a steel-like finish design. So we think it's important for the security keys to be, of course, safe, but also to blend well, both in the back and front office environment of an enterprise. So what I want to say is that while there are many security keys available in the market, it's truly important for each companies to check which one could fit their own user scenario the best. And from now on, I would just let Paul explain how VersaSec solution can enhance the use of our FIDO security keys.
Thank you, Chloe. It's really nice to see that different availabilities when it comes to Octaco tokens. And what I would like to add here is when you have the specific pairing with VersaSec as well as the Octaco tokens, what happens to organizations like yours is you get quick and easy authentication, and you are offering the strongest account security. When I'm talking about the strongest account security, is when you're using Octaco tokens. It provides robust security for accounts. It bolsters the protection against any unauthorized act and potential data breaches. It also streamlines the authentication process with a single key from Octaco, which means it can use multiple accounts, different use cases. End users can optimize this efficiency by using a single key for various authentication needs. What is also important here is with the implementation of Octaco tokens, you can adhere to the security policies and regulations, and also give and fund your administrators the help and the efficiency with enhanced security management. So now, with VSec CMS and Octaco tokens, administrators gain comprehensive oversight of FIDO key enrollment procedures, empowering them to strengthen security measures and manage access effectively. So when an organization, when you're looking to implement multi-factor authentication and you're looking to adopt something like Octaco, this adoption facilitates compliance for you with your internal security policies. And whenever there is an external market regulation being set upon, or if you're hearing from NIST, then it ensures adherence to the industry standards. So this helps a big lot for all the organizations in material to what type of size they are. So VersaSec, we perform the security needs of the organization. So let's say that your organization is looking to implement MFA and you're looking at Octactor tokens and you're looking to have an understanding how to centralize this entire issuance. Our platform is built with organizations in mind so that you can build the identity and the access management strategy that fits to your security goals. So whether you have directory, ID, or if you're using that B2B3 connectors, you have specific workflows, PIN policies. You have your IT teams who want to do the issuance on behalf of the users within the vicinity, or if you have a remote workforce, you want to do remote management, and this can be done by issuing the tokens where you can ship it to the end users and they can activate it using the self-service option. So you can do remote issuance as well, and overall manage the inventory using a VSEC CMS solution. Let's say you need to pull queries, whether if it's from MySQL, MS SQL, then we'll be able to help you with that. If there's a requirement for this installation setup to be done on-prem, or if you're looking at the cloud version, we do also have the SaaS setup, which is available for you. So depending upon your need, inclusive of complete traceability with our CMS logs. So even you can, if they're having probably once or two times audit for your organization each and every year, then that will be perfectly suitable if you're using the VSEC CMS solution. So we do have both the options from our flagship product, which is VSEC CMS Perpetual, and for that is for the on-prem installation. And if you're going for the cloud option, then we have the VSEC CMS Cloud. So the orchestration of the device cycle will be fully taken care by VSEC CMS. So here with VersaSec, you would be able to achieve comprehensive end-to-end security, and by providing granular access management, it's enabling zero trust security. With VSEC CMS, you can manage the entire life cycle of the token, and based on the state of the device, which is issued to the end user, the connected system will rely on the state, which means that you would manage each and every stage, whether there's a new employee who's joining the company, or somebody who's going on a long leave, or somebody's leaving the organization. So you need to revoke that token itself. That can be provided, that access can be provided to the end user accordingly within the organization ecosystem. We can achieve fully customizable workflows, and each process can be customized depending on the profile of the user or the use case for your organization. With VSEC CMS, centralized and user self-service FIDO-based issuance can be achieved. So here, FIDO keys are personalized, is done by initializing the key, generating in unique key pairs, and finally linking the public key to the user account in the IDP. So the operator can, as you can see on this particular slide, can do the issuance on behalf of the user or ship it to the end user for activation. So once published in the IDP, the end user can then authenticate using the provision of that code token. Deploying VersaSec credential management for phishing-resistant MFA in combination with Microsoft Entra-ID, the certificate-based authentication drastically increases the protection against phishing and man-in-the-middle attacks. At the same time, it also improves usability. With VersaSec, you can ensure that the credential like Octactor tokens is always in the required state, and it is managed in accordance with internal security policy that all involved systems are aware of its state so that it cannot be compromised at any given point of time. Chloe, you?
Yes, thank you, Paul. So just for the last few minutes, I also wanted to emphasize a bit more on that now basically passwordless, multi-factor, and FIDO authentications are now becoming key focus for government, but also industry regulations. So I'll just give you some examples that are quite famous right now. So in the US, for example, the White House executive orders and memorandum about zero trust focuses on enhancing security at the federal system level. And they want to improve identity verification, strong authentication, credential storage, and access management practices. And all of this can be done through FIDO passwordless or multi-factor authentication. Similarly, in Korea, you're going to have the ICT Ministry and Finance Agency. They both released quite recently some guidelines encouraging the use of biometrics and FIDO authentication. So what I want to say by that is that with now more complex cyber threats rising, it's only natural that regulations in every country is also going to grow stricter over time. So that's why many organizations are already, taking the next steps to transform their authentication methods, staying ahead and ensuring that they are complying or they are ready to be complying with upcoming regulations. So now on the next slide, I just wanted to give you like a very concrete example of a passwordless project that we've done in Korea very recently. So to sum it up, basically in this project with our combined solution, you can imagine a completely transformed authentication process. So as you can see in this case, organization-wide remote as well as office users, they can now use our FIDO fingerprint security keys to log in without any password to their VPN, VDI, Windows Active Directory, their groupware, but also their single sign-on. So in this case, we completely help them to eliminate passwords from the process. And now it's all streamlined and it's, of course, much more secure. So in this case, the use of biometrics improve, of course, the accuracy and the reliability of authentication, resulting in a zero account takeover and zero data breach since we deployed this project. And also, you can imagine that with less account takeover or less password problem, then employee satisfaction is, of course, higher. And the most important is that security teams' workload has also decreased. And we have seen like a productivity boost of up to 20% in this case. And finally, of course, now what I was mentioning in my previous slide, the organization is also ready and complying with current and future cybersecurity regulation in South Korea. So that's all for me. So I'll now hand over to Paul to wrap up this webinar with some final remarks.
Thank you very much, Chloe. It was a wonderful use case that you just presented. So yes, we did see how Octadcode tokens would help with the process of implementing the multi-factor authentication for your organization. So with FIDO, depending upon the usage, so you would be able to use it for your device logon or for your website logon, for any web services within the organizational ecosystem, or even for your mobile, because FIDO is very easy. There's no complexity. It is very easy to issue to the end users, and the end users would be set up in no time at all. And when these Octadcode tokens are managed by our VSEC CMS solution, you'll be able to manage the complete life cycle of these tokens, starting from the issuance to the maintenance to the revocation stage. So achieving complete credential orchestration. Any IDP integrations can be done using VSEC CMS. And with that, you will be also not only to do the issuance of who are within the vicinity, but also for your remote workforce and helping them to go passwordless. So achieving remote device management. Of course, you will be able to do the stock management with inventory control. And let's say for your middle management or your executive management, where you need to give additional tokens so that they have the temporary credentials, those can be issued by VSEC CMS as well. Thus, overall, giving you an improved user experience while using Octadcode tokens in combination with our credential management solution. And you can achieve complete device traceability with full user and credential audits, and most importantly, increasing the security with full phishing resistance. So with this, I've come to the end of a session, and I would like to thank Chloe. And let me quickly see what questions that we have received. So probably we can answer. Chloe, got of questions here, 3 for you guys. The first one is coming. How we can purchase your tokens, and does it work with my Windows Hello for Business?
Please, can you repeat the question? I didn't hear it well.
How can we purchase Octadcode tokens, and can I use it for Windows Hello for Business?
Right. So, so if you want to purchase our security key tokens, depending, I would say, on the region that you are based, it's going to be a bit different. But what I really recommend for you is to contact us by email first. So at the last slide, you're going to see our email here, info@octadcode.com. Please just like send us a quick email. Tell us what you want to achieve. Tell us what kind of quantity you're looking for, or if we can also talk about building a POC together to for you to try on the solution. So that's an option. And then second, yes, of course, our security keys work seamlessly with Windows Hello as well as Windows Hello for Business. We are Windows hardware certified. So as long as you plug in the security key in your computer, it's going to be very seamless, and anyone can do it from their settings.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Chloe. I think there's one question about the fingerprint recognition here. How does fingerprint recognition compare with the face recognition?
Right. Yes. I think actually this one we hear it a lot. Many people tend to ask us like why do we focus on fingerprint and not the facial recognition? Because I mean the answer is quite simple. It's just safer. Like it's well known in the as an industry standard that fingerprint recognition are safer than facial recognition. So first of all, there's a better accuracy rate, and also there's a less false acceptance rate, which means that when you use your fingerprint, basically, if something is missing, if it's not the right biometric, it's not going to authenticate you. While if you use a face recognition, I'm sure you have seen it sometimes, it's going to either like not really recognize you well, or sometimes it might recognize you from photography or from, we all know deep fake. So that's why overall accuracy and safety is much better with fingerprint recognition. And of course, I mean, you might be also wondering what about, like fake biometric, fake fingerprint. So in this case, we use a specific technology called capacitive fingerprint sensor, which makes it very hard to replicate a biometric and use it to authenticate. So yeah, that's what I would just say. Like basically, it's well known in the industry that fingerprint is safer. That's why most of the time in a regulation, in a industry regulation or government regulation, you're going to see an emphasis on fingerprint rather than face recognition. I hope I answered the question.
Thanks a lot, Chloe. I got another question. I think it's for both of us, but I think I can take it here. How is this offering scalable? So, where do I find more information about this credential management solution? Thanks for this question. But yes, the first point of approach would be is to understand how the Octaco tokens would work for you. So as Chloe mentioned, if you have the need to implement MFA, it would be best for you to first write an email to Octaco tokens to learn more about what is your use case to understand. Meanwhile, what we would also help you with is, you have our email address. You can definitely write to us at info@versasec.com, or you can also visit our website, versasec.com, where we have enough materials where you can learn about how we would support the credentials throughout their entire life cycle. And we also allow you to download an evaluation version where you can play with it. And talking about scalability, yes, whether you're going to start with one department, let's say if you want to start with 50, 100, or 150, doesn't matter. We will be able to easily scale up because we would be providing this joint offering with Octaco. So we will help you by starting up with a POC, understand what is your specific use case, and then we would see how we can actually connect with the systems within your organization ecosystem, so that if we need to connect to certain systems such as your Active Directory, or if we need to connect to your Entra ID, or if there is a specific workflow that we need to adhere to, we will take the details from you, set up the POC, and see how it goes, and we can move forward. So yes, please reach out to us if you have more queries regarding how to utilize Octaco and VSEC CMS together, and we'll be happy to help. There is no other questions. So I think we have come to the end of our webinar. Thanks a lot for being here today. And thank you, Chloe, for giving a wonderful presentation about Octaco tokens. And I hope that our session was very helpful and useful to you. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Paul, also presenting together. And just like Paul mentioned before, like please don't hesitate to drop us an email anytime. If you want just like a consultation, if you want to just ask question, we can talk together. We can see what's best for you. And yes, just know that we are open to discussion.
Thank you, and you guys have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.